Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and in about 30 minutes, I am going to have a hamburger. I put hamburgers on the grill last night, and I saved one for myself today for lunch. Now, the Digital Asset Investor is very good at making hamburgers on the grill. Let me tell you how I do it real quick. Now, first, there's only one thing you really need. Well, two things. I use Kingsford charcoal, because I like the whole process of using actual charcoal. And I use a thing called Allegro. It's a marinade that you can get. You can get it at Publix grocery store, if you know what that grocery store is. But it's called Allegro. And all you do is you get your hamburger patties, you put them in a pan, and you pour Allegro on them. And then you flip them around in that Allegro. Then you put it in the refrigerator, leave it in there for 30 minutes, an hour. And then when you're ready to cook them, you don't cook them. This is what I do that's different. I do not cook hamburgers on, like, right over the top of the coals. I move the coals to one side of the grill. I have a Weber grill, which I think is great. I move the coals to one side of the grill, and then I put the hamburgers on the other side of the grill, and I slow cook them and let them just sit there and cook for a while. And usually it takes a good 45 minutes to an hour, hour and a half, even some, not an hour and a half, but 45 minutes to an hour, and cook them off of that heat. That way you don't have the grease dripping down on the coals and all that. But anyway, they're better if they're cooked off the heat to me, and I've never seen anybody do it. Okay, let's get into digital assets. Now that you know how to cook hamburgers on the grill, good ones. All right, first I want to show you this. The market, look, XRP's up 3.83% at 23 plus or minus or plus cents. The market has 243 billion in it. And if we look at fiat leak, most of the volume is going on in the United States right now because other parts of the world are asleep right now. But this will be interesting if this starts to catch on. Now, here on fiat leak, it's up 3.89%. I love checking into fiat leak every once in a while. Looks like Asia over here has got a little bit going on. Okay. Next, from Coining203, at Coining203, you need to see this. TradeStation Securities is excited to announce that it now supports trading of options on Bitcoin futures from CME Group and back Bitcoin from ICE Markets. Learn more here. Okay. So I'm going to move along from that. Now, this is interesting. The markets, right now, I'm looking at my television right now. The market is down. The Dow's down 450 points, okay? Actually, that's weird because I tweeted this out a while ago, but it's actually down what the implied open was almost exactly. But what I wanted to comment here on, I had tweeted this out earlier this morning, and David DePriest comes in, he says, plunge protection team must be there. I'm watching it jump thousands of points. And then I said that plunge protection team concept has always been so stupid to me. Is this a free market or not? The answer is that it's not, folks, because they wouldn't have plunge protection teams if they were going to actually let the market be free. And the market being a free market includes downside risk. And these people running these central banks of the world now, in this world we live in now, they seem to not want to let the downside happen. Well, if they would just let it happen, there's a lot of opportunity in those downsides, but they just won't let it happen. And it drives me crazy. That is not the free market that we are supposed to live in. Okay. Now, I was making fun of this. When I was a kid, there was a cartoon called the Wonder Twins, and they would fist bump, and they would say, Wonder Twin powers activate. And then they would say, form of whatever it is they needed, a tidal wave, and they could do all kinds of different things. Well, I said, plunge protection team activate, form of a healthy economy. In other words, pretend we've got a healthy economy. That's so true. And then, okay, this is from Zero Hedge. Prevention, control, and a busy week ahead for central bank, quote, stabilizers. And Zero Hedge is basically making fun of how these central banks try to step in at every single turn, just like I am. Now, let's look at something that there's no one that I've ever seen who spells it all out better than this video. And since I just recently started showing videos on my channel, I've never shown you this, even though it's kind of an older video. This is worth watching 1,000 times, folks, because there's never been anyone who pegged it better than this guy. European Parliament. His name is Godfrey Bloom. Listen to this.
For the EFD, Mr. Bloom has 2 minutes.
Commissioner, Mr. President, I rise again, I'm afraid, to make the same old hoary speech that I've been making here for several years, and that is, it is my opinion that you do not really understand the concept of banking. All the banks are broke. Bank Santander, Deutsche Bank, Royal Bank of Scotland, they're all broke. And why are they broke? It isn't an act of God. It isn't some sort of tsunami. They're broke because we have a system called fractional reserve banking, which means that banks can lend money that they don't actually have. It's a criminal scandal, and it's been going on for too long. To add to that problem, you have moral hazard, a very significant moral hazard from the political sphere. And most of the problem starts in politics and central banks, which are part of the same political system. We have counterfeiting, sometimes called quantitative easing, but counterfeiting by any other name. The artificial printing of money, which if any ordinary person did, they'd go to prison for a very long time. And yet governments and central banks do it all the time. Central banks repress the amount of interest that rates are, so we don't have the real cost of money. And yet we blame the real retail banks for manipulating LIBOR. The sheer effrontery of this is quite astonishing. It's central banks that manipulate interest rates, Commissioner. And plus, underneath all this, we talk loosely, in a rather cavalier fashion, do we not, about deposit guarantees. So when banks go broke through their own incompetence and chicanery, the taxpayer picks up the tab. It's theft from the taxpayer. And until we start sending bankers, and I include central bankers and politicians, to prison for this outrage, it will continue.
Not very often do you hear someone tell the complete and total truth the way that guy just did. All right, next. This is for, let me adjust this volume, make sure it's not too loud. Billionaire investor Tim Draper, if you're a millennial, buy Bitcoin. He was interviewed on Fox Business. Per the report, Draper believes that Bitcoin is of particular importance to millennials that are looking to set aside enough capital for retirement. He suggested that the traditional banking system is outdated. You look at Bitcoin and you say, hey, this is great because it's not my father's Oldsmobile. Our banking system is the Oldsmobile. It's the old Oldsmobile. The faults of the banking system. Draper also blamed traditional finance for putting millennials into hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. He explained that with the current salaries, they can't quite pay it off. It's a really difficult time, and they've become renters rather than buyers because they have to. He also insisted the importance of being able to move freely and move capital and goods freely throughout the world. Because of those reasons, Draper recommends millennials start building their empire in the new model that does not impose hefty fees and regulations on transactions, unlike the dollar. He pointed out that just setting money aside like older generations did won't cut it in today's economy, concluding, I think if you really want it to work, I think you go Bitcoin or crypto. Exactly, folks. He's right. Okay, Wrath of Kahneman. The first Abu Dhabi, Abu Dhabi. I think that's what the official language snob of the Digital Asset Investor channel told me. It's Abu Dhabi. I think. Okay. I'll have to check with him. I always forget which way to go, so forgive me. Report says Ripple is designed for interbank transactions and stellar for cross-border. It's similar to an IBM Everest study. It's not how Ripple publicly markets itself. So why does it appear from time to time? He's referring to this. Stellar, for example, is primarily designed for cross-border payments and Ripple for interbank transactions. That's a curious thing to me. I don't know the answer to that, but I think both of these companies are somewhere in the mix. I think Stellar is as well. Okay. Crypto utility guy at utility guy 7 sent me this. Let me do a refresh on this. The computer did a little glitchy thing there. Interest rate swaps coming to DeFi with Cherry Swap. Cherry Swap version 2, an automated market maker for interest rate swaps, is an early insight into how DeFi can absorb traditional finance by recreating similar mechanism in permissionless manner, hedging positions and swapping. I just wanted to show you this just to show you that all of these traditional financial products that I've said all along, all these traditional financial products, you will see them come out in digital assets, but you'll also see new products that come out. But all of the traditional products will be here. You will see them. You're seeing them already. Let me make sure I get rid of a couple of these windows. Jaquito McPhee, he's been kind of quiet lately, but he sent me this from VeetSaveIn, and the award for the first available public implementation of some API goes to BitHum. So cool to work with something for so long and then see it embedded in a platform site you use on a daily basis. And he's showing how they put it on BitHum. Cool. And then XRP Darren, must see. TAS Group setting up 2 Eurosystem regulation platform with a big bang approach with real-time settlement. The consolidation of the 2 Eurosystem regulation platforms will go live with a big bang approach. And the goal is to provide banks with single access point Eurosystem single market infrastructure gateway to the real-time settlement services 24/7 for cash, securities, and collateral with greater efficiency and liquidity management for all target services. And then we've got this from Matthew Linai. Examining the landscape of digital asset custody. Look at this. It shows traditional VCs, crypto VCs, and you'll see a lot of names you recognize. Corporate venture capital companies, and you got Ripple in there. Asset management, hedge funds, government entity, accelerators. And then it says in the middle, crypto custody, prominent investors with exposure in crypto. And down here at the bottom is the most important part, folks. 1.3 billion in total investment. To date, 419 million of it has been invested exclusively in pure crypto custody companies. In other words, crypto custody is the most important part of this entire space. Without crypto custody, because people are not, your average people that come into this are not going to depend on hard wallets and that type of thing. They're going to want to know they can just invest their money and they don't have to worry about whether it's going to be lost. That's just the way it is. There will be insurance and everything else. But when you hear this, that most of it is invested in crypto custody companies, I want you to think about one word, PolySign. Because PolySign is the one company we don't hear too much about. Now, I wanted to show you this. This is from ISC Research. People in Wuhan shouting Wuhan add oil, which I don't know what that means, out their windows and singing the Chinese national anthem together. A message going around asking people to do it together starting at 8 p.m. So let's just hear a little bit of this. Pretty scary stuff going on with this coronavirus. Now, I want to show you something about this virus right here. Let me get rid of that. This is from the Financial Times. Coronavirus is good for Bitcoin. I'm about to show you a spin on this that I have not seen. This is from this article. This was a tweet that they're showing from Trexia XRP. Stop using paper money. It might be the source of coronavirus. Hashtag SARS-2 infection. Use digital currency. Now, folks, that right there is a spin on all of this that I have not even thought of or heard. But that right there could be a big deal. This idea going as the world goes forward with these kinds of pandemic type things coming out is not using physical currencies and getting away from paper currency so that viruses are not. Think about how dirty money is and how many hands it touches. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family that this is just one more reason that we probably won't have paper money much longer. Thank you for listening.